It's time to laugh, to win, and to live the thrill of the action.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. What the hell's going on out here?
No idea what's going on, but I am excited.
Every pick, every play, every game-changing moment.
Unbelievable!
This is You Better You Bet, brought to you by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Well, good morning. My name is Carrington Harrison. Very happy to be here with you guys on this fantastic Friday. And do we have a lot to get into? Filling in today for my guy, Nick Kostos. There is a piece of audio that I cannot stop listening to. I'll play it for you throughout the course of the show today. We got a lot of football to get into. We just had the Hall of Fame game yesterday. Congratulations to those of you that watched the Hall of Fame game. There were a great deal of us that just said, no thanks. I love the NFL. You'll learn that over the course of these next 3 hours. I don't love it enough to watch the fake version of it. I'd rather watch Friday Night Lights if that's what we have planned. I'd rather watch Varsity Blues. I'd rather go back and watch Last Chance U. But watching Kenny Pickett go up against Carson Beck, y'all got it. I hope it was great. I hope it was everything that you envisioned it to be. I was not participating in that. But we will talk about the season and get you ready for it. We got a little college football. We got a little bit NFL. Football season is here. So this is what I've been thinking about for the last couple of weeks, and I'm happy to share it with you guys and bring it to you as we kick things off for You Better You Bet. So my regular job, my full-time 9-to-5 job is I host afternoons in Kansas City. For the last 6 or 7 years, you could say that Kansas City has been the favorite every single year coming into the AFC. I don't think you can say that this season. I don't think they're the favorite this year in the AFC. But I also don't know who the favorite is in the AFC. So I've really been trying to rack my brain on what team do I like? Which teams do I not like? Who am I riding with? Who am I fading this year? The NFC, I think, is very, very simple to break down. It's either Seattle or the Rams. Now, football can happen, and maybe Philadelphia makes it to the championship, or Green Bay, or Detroit, or one of those teams. But heading into the year, it is very obvious to me who the two teams are that sit at the head of the table. That is not obvious at all in the AFC. In fact, I think there are 8 teams that can make a case heading into the season that they are a Super Bowl contending team. Now, I might have varying degrees of confidence in these 8 teams, but I think there's 8 teams in the AFC, half of the conference, that can claim that they're Super Bowl champions. Now, we're going to go through this here, and I will admit on the front end, I did not include Jacksonville. Now, maybe that's my fault on why I didn't include Jacksonville, but it's Jacksonville. Like right now, if I handed you a sheet of paper and I told you on this sheet of paper, it was it was Seahawks Jags in the Super Bowl, and I told you for $100,000, do you believe me or not? I don't think you would believe me. I think you would rip it up. I think you would say you're joking. I think you would say you were kidding. Jacksonville had a great season last year. You think they're going to the Super Bowl? I'm sorry. I'm just not there yet. I am not enlightened enough to consider Jacksonville to be a Super Bowl contending team. They won 14 games last year. They lost in the first round of the playoffs. Just not a believer. I'm not there. These are the 8 teams: Buffalo, New England, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Houston, Denver, the Chargers, and the Chiefs. Now, again, these are all varying degrees. I do not believe in all these teams, but I do think these are the 8 teams that can make a legitimate case that they are a Super Bowl contending team. Now, continuing the theme of this, I think all 8 of these teams, if you believe in them, I can see why. If you think Houston's going to the Super Bowl, I can give you a pretty detailed answer on why I think they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm going to go through and tell you what their red flag is, which makes it hard to believe in these teams. All 8 of these teams have overwhelming positives and things that you like and why you think they can advance, but they have some serious fatal flaws in why you would be on the opposite side of them and why you would be fading them. Let's start with the Buffalo Bills. Brand new head coach, brand new defensive coordinator. That's a lot of shakeup for a team. This is a team that has been a pretty consistent double-digit win team for each of the last 6 seasons. We've seen them play in the big games, haven't seen them win a lot of big games, but we've seen Buffalo play in a lot of big games, so you know they're battle-tested. But this is the team that's going into the year with a completely brand new coach, a completely brand new defensive coordinator, and I'm still not super sold on their skill position players, and I think out of these 8 teams, it's possible that Buffalo has the worst defense out of the 8. So going into the season, everybody likes Buffalo. They're the favorite in the AFC. Everybody loves Josh Allen. This is the time that he's finally going to break through. Is it? Because I'm seeing a team that has a completely new head coach, the defensive coordinator. I'm seeing a team where I'm not still sold on their offensive weapons. DJ Moore trade, okay, but I don't really love the rest of their options when it comes to the pass catchers. And I think their defense is leaky. Buffalo's the best team in the AFC? Well, then the spot is up for grabs then if that's the case. Let's move down to the New England Patriots. New England went to the Super Bowl last year. New England feasted on a lot of the bad teams last year in the National Football League. Like, we're going to go through their schedule here. And just based off last year, now you get all the credit in the world for going to the Super Bowl. You get all the credit in the world for winning the AFC. New England beat one good team before they got to the playoffs. It was wins last year. Miami, Carolina. Now, they did go on the road and beat Buffalo. Great win. They went on the road and beat New Orleans. On the road against Tennessee, Cleveland, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, the Jets, Cincinnati, the Giants, Baltimore late in the season when Baltimore was out of it, the Jets and the Dolphins. They feasted on the dregs of the league. You know what I love about New England this year? Is we're going to get some of our questions answered in the first month of the season. The first 4 games for the New England Patriots. At Seattle, home against Pittsburgh, at Jacksonville, at Buffalo. That's a tough stretch. I dare you to find a team in the National Football League that has a tougher first month of the season than the New England Patriots. You play 3 playoff teams from last year all on the road, and you play the Pittsburgh Steelers early in the season. If they gave out Super Bowl championships for the first 8 weeks of the season, Steelers might have won 4 of the last 7 years. The Steelers are really good before the leaves change. If it's an October 15th game, woo, watch out. Pittsburgh's a dangerous team. Once it starts to get cold, and you know how old people already move in the cold weather, Aaron Rodgers, you don't have to see him anymore. So I'm looking at this New England Patriots team. Number one, I think their schedule is going to be radically tougher this year. So I'm anticipating there's going to be some level of regression this season from the New England Patriots. Another interesting point about New England, I refuse to believe that all of the offseason drama has no effect on New England. It's going to be the 7th week of the season, and we're going to look at New England, and they're 3-4, and we're going to say, oh, we should have saw that coming. We spent 2 months talking about the head coach's personal life. We think that has no effect on the team. We wouldn't think that if he was a player. If Mike Vrabel was the team's starting quarterback and he had all of the things circulating around him, regression and distraction would make a lot of sense. So, coach issue, outside distractions this offseason, regression. I also want to see if they can do it again. They took advantage of a bad schedule last year and a down AFC and had the right combination of everything last season, and they found themselves in the Super Bowl. Now, you don't apologize to anybody for that, but I want to see you do it again. Can they do it again is a major question. So we're going through the red flags right now in the AFC. Buffalo, new coach, new defensive coordinator. I still don't love their skill position players. I then look at the defense, a little bit leaky. New England, regression expected in my mind. They played patsies last year. Now they got one of the tougher schedules in the National Football League to kick off the season. Cincinnati. Now I know some of you might be Bengals fans, and you might be screaming at your YouTube stream or might be screaming at the radio when I say this. I don't know anything about Cincinnati, but I know they're not going to have a good offensive line. I already know. I don't know who's on their offensive line. I've never seen one of their offensive linemen before, but I do know they won't be able to block. I've seen that for 7 consecutive years. You're telling me all of that problem's gotten fixed? No chance. No chance. Joe Burrow might get sacked on the first play of the season. I'm going to be like that Leonardo DiCaprio gif. I'm telling you, I don't need to know, but I know when it comes to Cincinnati. I know their offensive line is an issue. Is Joe Burrow going to stay healthy? That's a coin flip every single year. They also had a dreadful defense last year. Are they going to be able to turn it around? Now, they've thrown a lot of bodies at the problem. You go get Boye Mafe. You go get Dexter Lawrence. You pick up Brian Cook in free agency from the Kansas City Chiefs. So Cincinnati has definitely tried to improve their defense. Let's see if they improve it. But Joe Burrow health, which is always an issue every single season. They can never protect their quarterback. They can never block. They've traded for Orlando Brown Jr. They've made this pick. They've done this thing. Still can't block. Offensive line leaks like a sieve, like a boat with a hole in it. I got those questions about Cincinnati as we kick off the season. When it comes to Baltimore, I saw regression last year from Lamar Jackson, at least when it came to running the football. At some point, you would have to think this Derrick Henry thing is going to expire. We've been saying this now for 4 seasons, and no matter how old he gets or how many carries he gets, he continues to be an absolute cyborg and run for 2,000 yards. He's not a real human being. Also, a new head coach. I don't love their offense. I don't love their skill position players. Even though some of the pieces and parts change on Baltimore, it feels like we're always in the same place with them. So can their quarterback stay healthy? Brand new head coach, turnover when it comes to the front office, turnover when it comes to the coaching staff. Those are some of my questions about Baltimore as we head into the season. Now looking at Houston, their biggest question is C.J. Stroud to me. I think Houston has just about everything else you would need to be able to win the Super Bowl. I think they're a capable running team. I think they've got good weapons on the outside. Their offensive line's a little bit of a problem. Let's see if their offensive line can be better this season. Defensively, they might have the best defense in the National Football League. You've got 3 legitimate pass rushers. You might have the best 1-2 cornerback room in the NFL. There's a lot of things to like about Houston, plus you're in a winnable division. Is C.J. Stroud ready to take the next level? Because last year he threw 19 touchdown passes. And you are not winning anything of value if your quarterback those 19 touchdown passes in 2026. Maybe in 1986 you could do something with that defense. You are not winning anything if your quarterback those 19 touchdown passes the way he did last season. He was dreadful toward the end of the year. But Houston probably has fewer red flags than any of these teams so far that we've discussed. This is a good Houston Texans team. I understand the hype. I get why people are on the bandwagon. It just comes down to C.J. Stroud for me. And now as we close this thing out in the AFC West, I think the Broncos on paper are the best team in the AFC West. But you've got a quarterback health conversation. Bo Nix has had 2 ankle surgeries in the last 6 months. That can't be good. There is expected regression, I think, with the Broncos. The Broncos won every close game last year. They played 14 games that were 1-score games, 14 of them last year. They won just about every single coin flip. They went to the roulette table and kept betting on black, and black hit 13 of 14 times. That's a great run. You take your chips and you get up from the table and you live with it. But if anybody that's played roulette, you know that's not how it usually goes. They got everything. They got block kicks. They blocked 2-point conversions. The Broncos had the right combination of everything come together last year. And that's how they found themselves in the AFC Championship game. Can that happen again? Can Bo Nix do it twice? I got questions about the run game with the Broncos. They could not run the football effectively last year, and that was a significant problem. They were whenever they had J.K. Dobbins, but J.K. Dobbins, the moment Halloween comes, he's hurt. He hasn't played in November in 7 years. And then I think there's expected regression from the Denver Broncos because of how many close 1-score games they had. The Chargers, I don't even know. The Chargers have been the exact same team for 20 years. The Chargers are like Grey's Anatomy. Every year, it's the same. I don't know if people still watch Grey's Anatomy. That's how the Chargers are. People still believe in this team. It doesn't make any sense to me. None. I know some of you are falling for it right now. Well, they got Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel's the thing that gets you over the hump. This is the Chargers. The Chargers are the West Coast Jacksonville Jaguars. They just got cooler uniforms. Like the same way I don't believe in Jacksonville, I don't believe in the Los Angeles Chargers. In Kansas City, significant question marks, I would say, coming into the season. Their quarterback is coming off his most significant injury Their defense has a bunch of holes, bunch of question marks, a lot of uncertainty, and their wide receiver room's a bottom 5 room in the National Football League. Rashee Rice is playing fast and furious. Xavier Worthy's never figured things out. So I'm looking at all of these teams right now in the AFC. And I think every team that we are talking about has a significant fatal flaw that could be the reason why they get eliminated. One of these teams is going to emerge. One of these teams are going to prove me wrong. They're going to figure it out. They're going to be able to put it together, and they're going to advance to the Super Bowl. We got 4 months in trying to figure it out. But as we come into the season, there are 8 teams, in my opinion, in the AFC. And I think you can make a case for any of them being the best team in the AFC and ultimately finding themselves in the Super Bowl at the end of the season. We'll go around the room here coming up on the other side. I want to hear who people like in the AFC. Who are you high on? Who are you not high on? We'll do that next. My name is Carrington Harrison, filling in for Nick Kostos on You Better You Bet.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Welcome back into the show. My name is Carrington Harrison. Very happy to be here with you, filling in for my guy Nick Kostos on You Better You Bet. Right now, we're talking about the AFC, and in the AFC, I think there's 8 teams that could argue that they're a Super Bowl contending team. Now, respectfully, I probably should have included the Jacksonville Jaguars, but we got to be real with ourselves. How stunned would you be if Jacksonville found themselves in the Super Bowl? You would not be stunned if Cincinnati was in the Super Bowl. They just went a handful of years ago. Baltimore has Lamar Jackson, who has won multiple MVPs. Houston has the best defense in the AFC. I don't, for the life of me, understand how Jacksonville was so good last year. It's one of life's great mysteries. Like, how many licks would it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? How nobody has the answer? Nobody has the answer of how good Jacksonville was last year or why they were so good. It doesn't make any sense. They won 14 games last year. They beat Denver on the road late in the season. And then they had one game to prove to us how good they were. They had one game against Buffalo at home, lost. That's all you needed to know. That was all the information we needed about them, how they were fraudulent, how they weren't contenders. So I want to go around the room here, and I just want to get the room's opinion. Because if you were asking me, I think the Broncos are the best team in the AFC. I don't feel strong on it. I don't feel strong about any of these teams. I think all of these teams have fatal flaws. I think all of these teams have serious red flags. That's what makes the AFC so fun. The AFC has been dominated. It's been controlled by the same 2 teams now for 20 years. Whether it was Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, whether it was Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, the AFC has been dominated by 2 quarterbacks and 2 franchises for 20-something years. This is the first time in a while in which we start a season where, I don't know, this is a real dealer's choice here. This is a real, honey, you pick where you want to eat. I don't know which one of these teams are good. I mean, I know that one of these teams, multiple teams are going to miss the playoffs. Only 7 teams can make it. So out of these 8 teams that we all think are going to be pretty decent this year, a couple of these teams aren't making the playoffs, and there's going to be some new, fresh blood. We're going to look up, and Tennessee's there. We're going to look up, and Indianapolis is much better than people think. That's just kind of how the National Football League goes. Kenny, we'll start with you here. There's 8 contending teams, give or take, in the AFC. Who are you high on? Who are you fading heading into the season?
I like Baltimore, and I know a first-year head coach has not won the Super Bowl, and I guess that's a question here, but I'm willing to bet on Jesse Minter and of course I'm willing to bet on Lamar Jackson. Now, I know he hasn't had playoff success, but I think he is still one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the league. I'm not betting on a Derrick Henry downfall. Why would we ever do that at this point? If he's still playing, he's still one of the 5 to 10 best running backs in the league. I do worry about the receiver core, but like I said, I'm going to bet Jackson. I think all the stuff that came out over the offseason, the players putting him at 69th best player in the league, the executives putting him as the 5th best quarterback in the league, that's only going to fuel him. He's going to have a big year. And like I said, Jesse Minter is going to get that defense back to where it was a few years ago with Mike McDonald.
Yeah, I want to get your point on this, Tyler. I'm curious what you think. The Derrick Henry thing, I mean, Derrick Henry has been phenomenal for the last 12 years at running back. Like, Derrick Henry's going to be 32 years old this season. And the belief usually is once your running back gets past 28 years old is normally when it's time to kind of be on the opposite side of this. I mean, last year at 30 years old, 307 carries. At 30 years old, his first year in Baltimore, 325 carries. He scored 16 touchdowns in each of the last 2 seasons. So we're talking about a guy who was an absolute proven workhorse, a guy that's proven to you time and time again that you can count on him. You would just have to think at some point, it's like, when do you have a regular year? It doesn't seem like it's anytime soon with him. The big thing to me with Baltimore is going to be, can they get Lamar back running last year? I thought a major problem with their team last year, aside from the health, and I think that played a major factor in it, is Lamar just took such a huge step back last year, whether it was in the passing numbers and the passing statistics, or it was just in his desire to take off and be a dangerous runner. That team really works when Lamar Jackson is such a threat to take off and run the football because of how elusive and explosive he is. I mean, last season he ran for 300 yards. In 2024, Lamar Jackson had 139 carries for 900 yards. Last season, he took half the amount of rush attempts, so 67 rush attempts, 349 yards, and 2 touchdowns. If you're going to cut his production in thirds from what he does as a running back, it just makes him far less dangerous, far less scary as a running back. And you need Lamar to continue to be one of those dangerous, game-changing kind of players. And that's just not who he was. Baltimore doesn't work if their quarterback is human. They need him to be spectacular. They need him to be a superhero, and that's just not what they got last year. So if you're really high on Baltimore, Kenny, who in the AFC are you fading? If you're in on Baltimore, who are you out on?
Yeah, this is you're probably not going to like this because the team you said is the best, and it's Denver. And you talked about the one-score regression. I'm just not sold on Bo Nix. I think it's a great roster, but I think they do play in a lot of one-score games. You're a Chiefs fan. You know how that went for them last year after they went, correct me if I'm wrong, 11-0 the year prior in one-score games. Very similar to what Denver did this past year. I think that comes back to haunt them, and they're more of a 10-win team as opposed to people thinking they're going to be right at back at the top of the AFC.
Yeah, I think with Bo Nix and why it's kind of hard for people to get on board is it feels to me that we've seen a ceiling with Bo Nix, and that's why I'm really interested to see this season, now that you've given him the amount of weapons in the passing game that they have. Going to pick up Jalen Waddle is big. So if you're telling me you got Waddle, you got Cortland Sutton as your 1-2s, I like their tight end. We'll see if RJ Harvey can be a little bit more effective than he was last season. I like the offensive additions that the Broncos made, but I certainly understand not being a huge believer in them heading into the season. All right, Tyler, I'll ask you the same question. Let's start with who are you in on? What team do you like in the AFC heading into the season?
I'm actually surprised Kenny said this team. I completely agree with him. I like the Baltimore Ravens a ton. I wanted to pick one of the teams that had the new coaches, so either Buffalo or Baltimore. I just don't trust Josh Allen in the playoffs. Obviously, I know I'm picking Lamar Jackson, who's done the same amount, which is 0. But I think they have the best combination of the quarterback, best combination of rushing attack, and the best defense amongst those two teams. So I completely agree with Kenny there. I like Baltimore a ton. I think they're going to win the AFC. I wanted to pick Houston, but I mean, how can you trust C.J. Stroud with how he's done with what he's done the last 2 seasons? So I'll take Baltimore to win the AFC.
All right, I got to ask you both this question here. Right? We got to step back for a bit. You're telling me in a January playoff game you're picking Baltimore? Because it's easy to say that right now while it's sunny outside. It's easy to say I like Baltimore when it's 105 degrees and you got a pool day scheduled. Baltimore's really good now. You're telling me, both of you, when it gets cold, when you got to take that parka out, when you got the thermostat dialed up, that's when you believe in Baltimore? Because I got 5 years of evidence and 5 years of data that tells me believing in Baltimore in that time of the year is going to end in absolute heartbreak. So that's my question for Baltimore.
Yeah, I completely agree, but I'm willing to bet on the unknown with Jesse Minter and him changing this philosophy with the Ravens. Like Harbaugh, like we saw it so often. I think a change could actually fix them and Buffalo. I think both those teams are going to be phenomenal, obviously. I just think with the new head coach and the new style they might play, I think that it could change dramatically for Baltimore. So to me, it's just all brand new head coach, brand new philosophy. I think it can change them a little bit.
All right, so if you're in on Baltimore, who are you out on? We heard Denver out. Who are you out on?
Cincinnati. I mean, as long as Zach Taylor's the head coach and this is the front office and ownership, like I just can't do it. Everyone thinks, oh, Joe Burrow, this could be the year he's going to be healthy. We've done this for the last 3 or 4 years, and he always gets injured. I know the offense is awesome. The defense, I don't care if they added Dexter Lawrence. It's just all that's going to do is just stop the run. They're still going to probably give up 30 points a game through the air. Like, I'm completely out on Cincinnati. Would not be shocked that they bottomed out again, and Joe Burrow's a free agent at the end of the year, and we're doing the whole Joe Burrow sweepstakes for next season. So Cincinnati, I am completely out on.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. Like, if you're asking me out of these teams, which of these teams do I think is most likely to miss the playoffs? I'd probably say Cincinnati as well, too. We just done this Cincinnati on paper game for the last 3 or 4 years, and it just never ends up working the way that it does. if I had to look into my crystal ball, if I had to be the Swami, this has an 8-9, narrowly missing the playoffs, slow start, Zach Taylor on the hot seat. This has that season just written all over the Cincinnati Bengals. We've played this game before. I know the vibes. We do. I know the vibes. I've seen the vibes before. I've been around the vibes. I know exactly what's going to happen here. This is an 8-9. They score a lot of points, but they give up a lot of points. If you got Joe Burrow on fantasy, you're happy, but they can't really do anything else. You're happy that you got Jamar Chase, and that defense can't stop anybody. We've played this game for the last 3 seasons with Cincinnati. You're not fooling me. You're not fooling me. But I wanted to do this exercise just because there's so many questions about the teams that are in the AFC. There's so many questions about them. The NFC, I think, is real easy to look at. The Rams have one of the strongest rosters on paper that we've seen in the NFL in probably a decade. The Seahawks are a very, very good team. I like Philadelphia this year. I don't love them the way that I think you can love those other 2 teams, but I like Philadelphia this year. I think Dallas is going to be a little bit better than people think they're going to be this season. I think, oddly enough, the Cowboys are coming in, flying in under the radar. But the top 2 teams in the NFC are very easy, very, very straightforward. The AFC is very, very different. So this was a fun exercise. We're going to be joined by Herm Edwards coming up at the top of the hour, and we'll get his thoughts as we continue our conversations when it comes to the National Football League. I wanted to talk about this because last night we had the Hall of Fame game. When you really think about it, we've had chances to see some perfect football players. Like Tom Brady was the perfect football player. Has an incredible resume, can't really poke any holes in it. I mean, even if you're going to say, well, they lost those 2 Super Bowls to Eli Manning. I mean, he won 7 other ones. Like, how much are we holding it against them? Tom Brady has a perfect football resume. I think that Charles Woodson is one of those people. If there was something to win, Charles Woodson won it as a football player. Everybody loves Charles Woodson, unless you're an Ohio State fan. Even if you cheer for Ohio State, you probably still have the, that guy's good. I'm going to give you another perfect football player. It's Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald was the perfect football player. You don't know a single person that doesn't like Larry Fitzgerald. Imagine if you were just sitting around with your friends and you were just talking about great 2000s receivers, and you were just talking about some guys, and somebody said, hey, what about Anquan Bolden and Larry Fitzgerald? You'd be like, oh, they're pretty good. That's how you would feel. Oh, they're pretty good. Yeah, of course. He was phenomenal. Larry Fitzgerald, all-pro multiple times, won Walter Payton Man of the Year, went to the Pro Bowl 11 times. He was the NFL leader in catches 2 separate times, led in touchdowns 2 separate times. He's on the 2010s All-Decade team, also on the 100 anniversary team. He was one of the best college football players of the last 25 seasons. I think he was the best player in college football his season. And he was on the all-decade. Listen to the all-decade receivers for 2010s. Antonio Brown, who should be in the Hall of Fame, but they will never vote him into the Hall of Fame. Larry Fitzgerald, Calvin Johnson, and Julio Jones. I'll put that 4 wide receivers up against any era's 4 wide receivers. We can go 90s, we can go 80s, 70s, whatever era. I will put those 2010s with AB, Fitz, Megatron, and Julio. I'll put that 4 up against any 4 all-decade receivers, and I'll feel really about what we have. Larry Fitzgerald, he was just the perfect football player. Everybody loves him, super reliable, super durable while he was a football player as well. Every season, you knew exactly what you were going to get from Fitz. You knew he was going to give you 100 catches. He was going to have 1,000 yards. He was going to have 8 to 12 touchdowns. He was going to play in all 16 games. And he was going to be a reliable football player. You never had to worry about any off-the-field issues with Fitzgerald. He was going to be a good teammate, good person in the community. Larry Fitzgerald, one of the great football players of his time. Congratulations to him. First ballot Hall of Famer, Pro Football Hall of Fame. I still think he should have won the Heisman Trophy that year. But you know what? He got just about every other award you could get as a college football player back in 2003. So congratulations to Larry Fitzgerald, who's going into the Hall of Fame this weekend. Congratulations to Luke Kuechly, who is going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this weekend. A great start to a weekend with the Hall of Fame game. All right, we're going to take a little bit of a break here. Coming up on the other side, there has been a piece of audio that I cannot stop listening to. I'll play it for you next. Keep it right here. My name is Carrington Harrison, filling on You Better You Bet.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
All right, let me tell you that this segment is sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. Special shout out to Progressive. I want to play some audio for you guys that has been absolutely stuck in my head for the last couple of days. I've listened to this, I'm not joking, at least 15 times. I'm one of those people that when I hear a song that I like, I'll just run it into the ground. Like, I'll listen to it until I know every single word. Like, I can't stop. I want to play this for you. So I actually had no clue that this existed. But there is a women's baseball league. It just started. This past weekend, like last weekend, it just started, had its first game. Now, I don't know who's starting a baseball league in late July, but you know what? I'm not here. Ain't got nothing to do with me. But I support the women. I support their desire to play baseball. So go get it. That's not the story here. You know, at the beginning of a baseball game, like all sporting events, they have a national anthem. Now, to me, the national anthem is kind of like a first pitch. No one really cares how good your first pitch is. Like, I've thrown out the first pitch before. I threw one out at a Royals game. It was a lot of fun. Everybody's like, oh, man, don't mess up. Don't mess up. I was like, I'm not worried about that. Not at all. I'm not trying to go up there and be Pedro Martinez. I'm not going up there to be Randy Johnson. No, stand down there. I'm going to throw it to you. I can throw a baseball however far it is. That's easy. I'm not putting no sauce on it. I'm just going to throw it down there. Like, oh, why don't you throw it harder? Because you've seen one good first pitch your entire life. It was the president of the United States. Think about how many first pitches there are. There's first pitches every night. They never show good ones. Like, they never show the 14-year-old prodigy that goes up there and throws some knuckle curve. You've never seen that first pitch. You've only seen bad first pitches. You don't even see average, regular first pitches. No, you only see it if it's trash. I'm imagining there's really good national anthems every night. Think about it. Think about all the sporting events, all the kids' games, all the college games, all the pro games. You never see good national anthems on the internet. You only see bad ones. You only see if they're terrible. So I saw a national anthem goes viral, and I thought, oh boy. But nothing could prepare me for when I clicked play. There was not a single thing that could have prepared me for this moment. Laura, can you hit it, please?
And the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Still there.
I tried to save you. It kept going. It really did. It kept going. Now, I want to shout out Miss Martha Reeves. Now, Martha Reeves, the woman that you heard singing there, Miss Martha Reeves, she is a legend. She sang on Motown back in the day. She sung with Smokey Robinson. She spoke with the Temptations. She was in the Supremes. She was a distant. The woman is 85 years old. That woman was born in 1941. Now, I say this with all the respect in the world for Miss Martha. Miss Martha, she could be my grandma. She could be auntie. I don't mean no disrespect toward Miss Martha. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. Miss Reeves, you're done out here in these streets. You can't keep doing this. You used to, I'm sure you had some pipes back in the day. I'm sure you could sing back in the day. That's over. Come on now. You know that. You know that didn't sound good. You knew that was bad. You had to know that was bad. You know what good singing is. But as I heard this, people, I had to learn more. I had to do more investigative journalism. That's what I am. I'm a journalist. You know, that woman's got an album coming out. Yes, the woman you heard singing right there, she got an album coming out. Comes out, it's actually out today. It's called Searching. She was searching for key. She was searching for range is what she was searching for. She was searching for the melody.
Say does the star spangled.
I'm telling you, Miss Martha, Queen, come on now. I'm serious. Come on now. So I was ready to let it go. I really was. I was like, you know what, man? I don't feel good. I don't feel good making fun of this 85-year-old woman. Like, come on now. I can't do that. But let me tell you this. Miss Martha gave a comment. She gave a comment to Entertainment Weekly. I had to click on it. I clicked on that thing so fast. I'm telling you, I instantly clicked on it. She blames the backup singers. She says it's the backup singer's fault that this messed up. So we got video, you know, TMZ. As hard as you think Satan is working, I'm telling you, TMZ working even harder. I don't know what kind of spies they got, but TMZ, they got video of everything. TMZ found some behind the scenes footage of them practicing for this. Behind the scenes, some BTS footage of them practicing. And she said in this, she said that the audio, that those background singers were out of tune, is what she said. She said they were out of tune. And she also said that it was windy conditions. It was wet and windy conditions, and that's what had her singing that way. So I just want to tell you, what you heard there, that's not her fault. You can see in the video. You can see in the video. So if you've ever done this before, some of you have done this. Like if you go down on the field, like they have like a person like that's their job. They're like the on the field coordinator. It's like if your kid's going to run on the field to do something, or you're going to, you know, there's like a person that coordinates it. You can see her go over to the person and she says, I don't need these background singers. Baby girl, you needed these background singers. They should have been the front ground singers is what they should have been. They should have been the main singers. They shouldn't have just been singing backup. They shouldn't have just been the appetizers. They should have been the entrees. I don't know if I'll ever get over that audio. I'm serious. It's stuck in my mind now for the rest of eternity. Like when you go to hell, that has to be the first song you hear. Like that's what welcomes you there. Like right when you just like
And the home of the brave, of the free.
I'm telling you, that song just plays in a loop when you get there. Just constantly. The next time that your kid acts up and you're thinking of a punishment, just lock them in their room, make them listen to that. Be like, hey, don't ever do that again. I told you. Get good grades. Listen to your mom. And if you don't, you know what's going to happen? 30 minutes. I want you to stand up, hand over your heart, looking at the flag. I want you to listen to this song for 30 minutes. That's what I think you should do. Shout out to Miss Martha Reeves. Shout out to her. Go pick up her new album, Searching. I'm sure it will be available on all your DSPs, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, wherever you get music from. I'm sure you'll be able to hear Miss Martha Reeves and her singing on her new album, Searching. I'm sure it'll be a banger. I'm sure there's some classic love tunes on there, something for when you're in the mood, something when you're riding around with your girl. You know, I'm sure all of those things will be available. Coming up at the top of the hour, we're gonna have Herman Edwards on the show, and honestly, my biggest thought before we talk to Herman Edwards is just what happened to the coaching rants? You know, when I was a youngster coming up back in the early ESPN days, I mean, when, you know, you would really be locked into the SportsCenter top 10. When the SportsCenter top 10, like that wasn't a That wasn't an option. That was mandatory. Like, you couldn't go to school before you watched the Sports Center Top 10. You had to know what the number one play was. We used to get really good coaching rants. Have these coaches just started to make so much money, or we just get so mad at when coaches say anything? Like, we don't get a good coaching rant anymore. Like, I used to love when a coach just after a loss would just go up there and just start throwing stuff, you know? Like, when your team would blow a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter, you would go up and you would just start hitting the podium. Like, that let me know you cared. That let me know that you were really in it, you know? When Vernon Davis is not listening and not doing what he's supposed to do, just start ripping, just right there in the press conference. You don't got to do it privately. Just right there in front of everybody. This is where the debate television shows, they really ruined it. Because now if that happened, that'd be the only thing people would talk about for the next day. We're not giving these coaches the freedom to criticize their players publicly the way they used to. I used to love it. I really did. So Herman Edwards. Herm has one of the greatest coaching rants of all time. Legendary, iconic. Hello? One of those. Him, Jim Mora, Dennis Green. Like, they should have Hall of Fame. I've never been to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but they should have little TVs set up when you get to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You should be able to press a button and you can hear legendary coaching rants because they're part of the NFL too. As much as the David Tyree helmet catch is a part of the NFL, playoffs is also part of the National Football League history as well. You should be able to see that as well whenever you go into Canton, whenever you go to the Hall of Fame. So coming up at the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by Herman Edwards. So much football to talk about. My name is Carrington Harrison. Happy to be here filling in for my guy Nick Kostos on You Bet or You Bet.
and to live the thrill of the action.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. What the hell's going on out here?
No idea what's going on, but I am excited.
Every pick, every play, every game-changing moment. This is You Better You Bet, brought to you by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Really excited to be joined by our next guest, somebody that played the game, somebody that coached the game at the absolute highest level, at both the college and the professional level. Herman Edwards joins us on the show today to get you ready for the start of the NFL season, which is right around the corner. Coach, happy to be talking football with you today.
Yeah, it was fun. We kicked it off yesterday, that preseason game. I can remember my rookie year. I actually played in that thing. And I think when you're a rookie and you actually go to Canton, you realize how prestigious the NFL really is. And you look at some of those busts of guys you watch when you were a little kid and you walk through that Hall of Fame. Now, it's a lot fancier than 1977 when I went in there. They've upgraded it, no doubt about that. But I think it's a heck of a game to start the preseason off with.
Coach, it has to be mind-blowing to you, who's someone who played this game at an absolute highest level and then coached it, to think about how much training camp and practice has changed over the course of your football life. You know, you guys had those grueling two-a-days in the hot sun. That's not how today's NFL players getting ready for the season.
No, they're much bigger, stronger, faster, and they pay them a lot of money, and they don't want them to get hurt. But these guys are well-conditioned athletes. I mean, you could tell last night, for a preseason game, just to watch, a bunch of young guys playing, that was a lot of points. That was kind of like, whoa, generally in preseason, you don't score a lot. Those guys score a lot of points. So that was kind of fun. But these players, they understand that, you have a little window of being a professional football player, and I think these guys understand that. They're better equipped coming out of college now than they were, 25 years ago. So they understand that, you got to be in shape, you got to be ready to go, because it doesn't take a lot all of a sudden and you lose your spot. You know what I mean? If it's a very competitive league, I always tell players, look, the NFL is not a career, it's an opportunity. And you got to know that every day that you wake up, you got another opportunity to play in the league and take advantage of it.
Right now, we're talking to Coach Herman Edwards, getting his thought as the season is right around the corner. Coach, you were a defensive player. You talk about staying in shape and staying ready. Let's talk about the Rams and Aaron Donald. I think it's pretty known that he is going to come back and play football at some point. I don't know exactly when he's going to show up, but there's too much smoke around this thing to not think that he's going to play. What kind of challenges do you think he's going to face for a guy who has been inactive, at least playing football-wise, these last couple of years?
Well, look, they're going to be smart with Aaron Donald. They're going to bring him along, slowly. They're not going to just throw him out there. But I think, you're talking about a guy that, for him to come back, he's a prideful man. He's not just coming back. He understands that this team, if he comes back, they're Super Bowl caliber. There's no doubt about that. And last time they won a Super Bowl, it was in L.A., just happens to be it's in L.A. again. Look, this was the number one offense in the league last year, scoring about 30 points a game. Pretty good defensively. Aaron Donald comes back all of a sudden with Myles Garrett and Young and those guys. Look out. They're going to hit the quarterback a lot. And I think it'll be fun to watch if he comes back, because this team is slated to maybe go to the Super Bowl playing one of the best divisions, I think, in football, the NFC West. When you think about there's three teams over there that won 12 or more games. So I think it'll be fun if he comes back. He'll get in shape, and midway through the season, look out for the Rams.
Yeah, just looking at it on paper, and I understand that these games have to be played on the field, but right now everything is prediction. Everything is what we think is going to happen in the future. I'm looking at a team that just doesn't really appear to have a whole lot of weaknesses. And if they can stay healthy, because, Stafford had the back issue around this time last year. If this team can stay healthy, they're just going to be a very, very tough out for anybody in the NFC.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, and they play in one of the better divisions in football. San Francisco, they were beat up last year and still won 12 games. So, Seattle, obviously the Super Bowl champions. So this division is very, very competitive. Just to get out of this division alive, you're pretty good. I mean, so this Ram team obviously is very, very, very good on both sides of the ball. Matthew Stafford threw 46 touchdown passes last year. Can he do that again? I don't see why not if they protect him. I mean, he still has a live arm. This team understands where they're at. They have this window right now. They have this window of, okay, because this might be Matthew Stafford's last year. I mean, he's not getting any younger. And I just think it's a team that can deal with the pressure. They're in Los Angeles, a lot of fanfare, but they can deal with it because this is a really good football team.
Right now, we're talking to Coach Herman Edwards, just getting his thoughts on the NFL as we are heading into the season. Coach, let's keep it in the NFC. You mentioned how competitive you see the NFC West. I see it the exact same way. So let's remove the Rams and the Seahawks. I think those are most people's 1-2, depending on the order, the two best teams in the NFC. Who do you see as the best team of the rest? Is it Philadelphia? Is it Dallas? Who do you like in the NFC aside from those two teams out west?
Well, if you think of it this way, if Dallas could just halfway field the defense, just halfway, just be in the middle of the pack, not 30th, 31st, but just be in the middle of the pack. 15th, they're a Super Bowl caliber football team. Offensively, they're elite. They're right up there with the Rams. They can score the ball. They can score. Now, can they stop people? That's going to be the key for me when you look at them. I look at the North. The Bears caught everybody by surprise. That should be a pretty competitive division. Green Bay, obviously, the Lions. They got a lot of history. So that division to me should be pretty good. With Jaden Daniels coming back with the Commanders, I mean, they're going to be better with a healthy Jaden Daniels. You can't count Philly out. They're a perennial playoff team, so there's no doubt about that. And you look at the South, that division's interesting. I mean, if you'd have told me that a team's going to win a division with an 8-9 record, I'd have said that might be the first in the history of the NFL. That a losing team actually won the division with a losing record. 3 teams, 8-9, and that thing's going to be interesting to watch. So it's going to be fun over in the NFC.
Coach, let me ask you this before we switch over to the AFC, because I'm curious just as a coach how you see this. As you're watching your team, as you're surveying your team in camp, what are you looking for? What are you watching for to feel ready that your team is prepared to go in the early portion of the season? What are you monitoring, tracking at this stage?
Well, what you're trying to do is evaluate the new talent you acquired, whether it be through free agency or in the draft. And then from there, trying to get him in some type of, shape to play football. But I say it all the time, and I'm going to stick with this. Look, you're not really going to know what you are until after week 4 in the regular season. Because these guys don't play preseason games anymore. So they're not in football shape. They're not in. They don't have football stamina right now to play in a game. It's one thing to practice, but playing a game, it takes a little while. This is why, I'm the old man sitting on the porch. I get it. I was laughing yesterday. I said, when I came to the league a long time ago, 1977, think about this. There was only 14 regular season games. 14. That's it. Now, there were 6 preseason games. 6. Think about that. You played 6 preseason games. 6 of them. And you played them. I mean, you actually played in the game. You didn't sit on you wear your baseball hat and stand on the sideline. You actually, played in the preseason. So it kind of got you in shape for the season. Well, it's changed, and I understand that. I'm not griping. I think that's the way it works. But for me, when I look at teams right now, the teams that have the advantage are the teams that have a veteran roster because they know how to handle it. And then the teams, obviously, after 4 weeks, you kind of evaluate who you are because now you've been playing 4 real games. You kind of got an idea of this is what we are, guys, on offense and defense. And from here, this is what we got to live with.
right now. We're talking to Coach Herman Edwards, just getting his thoughts as we were getting prepared for the start of the season. Coach, let's move over to the AFC, a conference that you know really well, your time in Kansas City and also your time with the New York Jets. For the last 20 years, the AFC, you either thought New England was going to win it or Kansas City was going to win it. Now we sit here and it just feels completely wide open. Like, I don't know who the favorite is. Maybe it's Buffalo, maybe it's Baltimore, maybe it's Denver, maybe it's Houston. It feels completely wide open. Who is the team that you believe in the most in the AFC? Who is the team that you trust the most in the AFC?
Well, here's what it is for me. I'm a Josh Allen fan. Okay, I'm going to be quite blunt. I'm a Josh Allen fan. I think he's the best player in football, period. He's already this guy. He scored 300 touchdowns already in his career. The fastest in the history of the NFL. 300. This is a quarterback now. He's not a wide receiver, not a running back. He's a quarterback. Did they do enough on the offseason to help him? To help him with this offense and defensively. This is a good football team. I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl, but I'm saying this is a really good football team. Kansas City. Okay, Mahomes is coming back. That's a prideful team. Denver's Denver. The Chargers got a new coach. Chargers are going to, Harbaugh, they'll be more competitive in that division. Can Cincinnati, with a healthy Joe Burrow playing all the games, can they compete to win the division over in the North? Right? Aaron Rodgers last year with his coach, Mike McCarthy. Will this Steelers team make some noise? You look at the South. That thing's wide open. The Texans, Jaguars. Can the Jaguars again do what they did last year? Interesting. We'll see. Pressure's on the Jaguars, right? So I just think it's a division. It's a conference. We mentioned the team that won the Super Bowl last year. No one is, expected them got to the Super Bowl last year was the Patriots. No one expected those guys to do what they did. I'm hoping the Jets will be better. I'm a Aaron Glenn fan. He played for me. I think that they will be more competitive this year. So I just think it's a wide open division. You know what else I want to see? I want to see the Raiders. How do you deal with this young quarterback? My question was this when they drafted him. Okay, he's the first player picked. Do you bring him along slowly and wait till like week 5 or 6 and say, well, we've seen enough Kirk Cousins, we're going to put him in, or do you start him right away? I know what I would do. And I said it. Number 1 player picked in the draft, play him right now. Put him out there. Let him play. That's the only way they learn. You got to let them play.
Coach, I want to go back to what you said about Baltimore and Buffalo, because these are two teams that have been very good for a very prolonged period of time, yet decided to shake things up at head coach. What do you think that means for each of these rosters? Is it a positive? Is it a negative? Because we've seen teams shake some things up, and next thing you know, that was the move that they needed to get over the hump. Both of these teams, you can sense a sense of urgency to try to get to a Super Bowl, try to win a Super Bowl while you have these two talented quarterbacks. What kind of effect do you think it's going to have on these two rosters, switching head coach in the middle of what they've got going on?
Well, and I said it when it happened. All eyes are on Lamar Jackson. Okay, they got rid of the coach. It's your team. It is your team, Lamar Jackson. It is your team. They go like you go. You can't look to the left or to the right. It's your team. And so there's a pressure on Lamar Jackson, in my opinion. He's the guy. You better be the guy. I mean, period. End of story. Buffalo, when you mentioned Buffalo, as I said, Buffalo, they got the best player in football, Josh Allen. It would almost not be right for this team to understand this guy's talent and how he's carried this organization the last 2 or 3 seasons, for them not to get to the AFC Championship game. and win it and get to a Super Bowl with this guy. It would be sad because of how this guy plays.
Coach, I'll get you out of here with this last question. I'm born and raised in Kansas City. You've spent a lot of time in Kansas City in your life. I just want you to come on here, and I want you to spread the news that Kansas City's barbecue is second to none, because a lot of people might throw Carolina or Texas in the conversation. I'm not doing that. Kansas City, bar none, has the best barbecue in the world. I just want you to tell them that.
It's hard to beat Kansas City barbecue, but you know what? I think sometimes, we think that barbecue is only talked about in the South, right? I know this place in Oakland, California, when I went to Cal Berkeley. Barbecue pretty good now. I'm just saying. So let's just don't make it a Southern deal, okay? They barbecue out on the West Coast, too. Some pretty good barbecue out here as well.
And that is Herman Edwards joining us on the show today. He played the game at the highest level. He coached in college, also in the National Football League, and happy to break it down with us this morning as we are officially started with the season after the Hall of Fame game last night in Canton. Coach, great stuff. It was an honor to get a chance to talk football with you. Enjoy the season.
Anytime, my friend. Talk to you later.
Absolutely. That is Herman Edwards joining us on the show today, talking a little football with the head coach, Herman Edwards. Coming up on the other side, let's talk about Buffalo. You heard Herman Edwards. He thinks that Josh Allen's the best player in football. Josh Allen was asked about not going to the Super Bowl. I'll play for you what he had to say. That's coming up. Keep it right here on You Better You Bet.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
You know what? I just want to call a quick audible here. Later today, I'm going to the Neo and Akon concert. And I've seen Akon before, but I've never seen Neo before. So I'm sure that this is going to have all of our 2000s nostalgia. You know, that's when I was in college. You know, I graduated high school in 2006. So we're getting ready for our 20-year reunion. You know, I was in college. You know, I was around this time, you know, I was just getting ready to go to school. I was going to be a freshman at Missouri Southern State University, you know. And there's certain artists that just remind me of college. Like when I think of my time in college, the artist that I think of is T-Pain. I mean, that was a great time to be in school, you know? Like when I hear college, I hear apple bottom jeans, boots. That's what I hear when I hear college. Laura, when you think of your time as a youngster, you know, 17, 18, 19 years old, who's the artist that you hear playing in your mind?
Black Eyed Peas.
Black Eyed Peas. I got a feeling. All right, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at the little Black Eyed Peas. They had a good run. A great run for the Black Eyed Peas. Kenny, where are you at? Whenever you hear college, whenever you hear 19-year-old you, who's playing in your mind?
Oh God, I'm younger than you, Carrington. So this is a tough one. But I would say
this about to be like Uzi Vert or something.
Yeah, see, I could say that, but I would say that the music carried on amongst generations, and the songs that you're bringing up still were playing when I was in high school and college. So yes, definitely.
Okay, all right, Tyler, where are you at when you hear college in your head? What artist do you hear?
That's so funny. It's Future, Kanye, or Lil Uzi Vert. Those are the three I think of immediately.
Okay, all right. I'm too old to be on this show. I gotta go back with my people. Where's Bill at? Bill thinks of Bob Denver whenever he thinks of college. That's I gotta go back to my tribe. I can't be here. Future? No. I can't.
He's got hits.
I can't be a part. And I love Future. I just can't be a part of this. I can't be a part of this. All right, so I want to play some audio for you guys. This audio is Josh Allen. He went on a podcast and he was asked about the Super Bowl, and here's what he said.
Definitely, we've watched it. We've put it in the past. We've learned from it, and you know, we've been in the playoffs a lot of times in the last, you know, however many years I've been here now, and you know, just continuing to find ways to learn from it. And I think that's it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes because we haven't gotten it done, but you know, you knock enough at the door, it's going to open at some point, and that's just what we have to keep doing is keep knocking on that door and giving ourselves chances to be in that situation again.
Hold on. Did he just say what I think he said? If you knock on the door long enough, eventually it will open. That's not accurate. Who said this? Because I can think of thousands of teams who kept knocking on the door and the door went unanswered. Does he know the history of the franchise that he plays for? Because if there's ever a franchise that kept knocking at the door, I don't know if you can knock on the door more than going to 4 consecutive Super Bowls, yet not winning any of them. Did he follow the Knicks in the 1990s? I mean, they knocked on the door a bunch. Did they ever walk through the door? Like, I'm just trying to think of a bunch of teams. Like, just because you keep getting close does not mean that inevitably you will be rewarded at the end of it with the championship. Oregon has been dominant in college football for 20 years. They got a championship to show for it. I don't remember Oregon winning the national championship. Gonzaga, the Bulldogs, they've been dominant for 20 years. They got a national championship to show for it. I mean, Final Four, they've only been in like 2 Final Fours in the last 20 years. This notion that if you just keep at it, eventually it'll work, we got to quit telling people this. No, that's not true at all. Now, I will say this in defense of Josh Allen. All great quarterbacks get to one. You might not win one, But if we go through who you think are the 20 greatest quarterbacks in league history, you at least get to one. So maybe the argument for Josh Allen is we've been so close these last couple of years. We've been right there for these last couple of years. If we keep at it and we keep at it, we'll eventually get our game, and we got 60 minutes to try to win a Super Bowl. But everybody who you think is a truly all-time great quarterback eventually gets one appearance. You get one chance. What will Buffalo do with that opportunity? Now, I might be more so on the negative side of this. I think the end is coming for Josh Allen a lot sooner than people think it's coming. When you're talking about a quarterback his size, how physical of a runner he is, I think this thing could end really, really quickly. Now, I don't think it's ending in the next 12 months or anything. Josh Allen's 30 years old. And I've always thought this from a physical perspective. The quarterback that Josh Allen reminds me most of is Cam Newton. I think he is a much better passer than Cam Newton was. But if you were talking about physical traits, style of play, he reminds me of Cam Newton. Cam Newton was 6'5", 245. Josh Allen is 6'5", 237. Very similar builds, also very dynamic runners. He's their short yardage back. The last 3 seasons, Josh Allen has had double-digit rushing touchdowns. He had 15 touchdowns in 2023. He had 12 touchdowns last season, or 2 seasons ago. He had 14 touchdowns last season. They use Josh Allen in short yardage situations. That's a lot of hits. That's a lot of banging. That's a lot of hit against your body in what you are going to do. And if you look at Cam Newton's career, Cam Newton was over at the age of 30 years old. The Cam Newton that you remember from the time he was maybe the best college football player we'd ever seen up until 2018, that was prime Cam Newton. He turned 30 years old. He got hurt in 2019. He turned 30, only played in 2 games that year. It was then over for Cam Newton. After Cam Newton turned 30 years old, he threw 12 more touchdown passes and had 17 interceptions. He was done. He was out of the league. Now, a lot of that was injury. I'm with you. But you only got so many hits in your body. You only have so many tackles that you can take. And Buffalo is asking their quarterback to do everything. You're asking him to throw for 4,000 yards. You're asking him to run for 600 yards. You're asking him on 3rd and 1 to be the goal line back. They're asking their quarterback to do a lot of things. We've never seen a quarterback age like that and at 35 years old and still be as dominant as Josh Allen is. I think we have 3 more years of this version of Josh Allen where he is clearly one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the league. I'm still going to put Mahomes at 1, but a lot of that's just body of work, how I've seen him perform in the postseason. But Josh Allen's been a better regular season player the last 3 years. I don't think there's any argument in that. He's been a very, very dominant regular season player. The question with him always been his ability to get over the hump and just make those 5 to 8 plays that are the difference in you going home disappointed or you advancing to the next round. That's been the biggest question with him. I want to have this debate with you guys, and I'm curious what you think. So yesterday was the Hall of Fame game, and we're seeing Larry Fitzgerald go into the Hall of Fame, and Luke Kuechly's going into the Hall of Fame. This is a great Hall of Fame class. Has anybody looked at next year's class? So I expect Bill Belichick is going to get in. He should have been in on this one, but I suspect Bill Belichick is going to get in. There's going to be much more external pressure, I think, to make sure that Bill Belichick goes in on this next class, especially because Gronk is up for the Hall of Fame this year. Those 2 guys, Brady coming back, Brady being a couple of years away from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, I suspect that Bill Belichick is getting in next year. So next year, Belichick gets in. Adrian Peterson is up for Hall of Fame induction. He's a first ballot guy, no question. Rob Gronkowski is a first ballot Hall of Fame guy, no question. The guy I want to go around the room and ask, Ben Roethlisberger is up next year as a first ballot guy. Now, Kurt Warner had to wait a couple of times. He got in, but Kurt Warner did not get in on the first ballot. Eli Manning right now is potentially having to wait. Now, we'll see what happens with Matt Ryan. Is he going to be a guy who gets into the Pro Football Hall of Fame? But all of the contemporaries for Ben Roethlisberger, They are getting in. Rodgers will get in. Breeze will get in. Obviously, Peyton Manning is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He just got in a couple of years ago. So those guys are in. The last kind of from that 2000s group to be in the Hall of Fame is Ben Roethlisberger. Now, whenever we have these Hall of Fame conversations, and I'm big on having a Hall of Fame conversation, I love arguing about the Hall of Fame, I kind of put it into a couple of categories. I'm big on accomplishments. So if you go on Wikipedia and you look over at the right, it says awards and highlights. What did you do? What did you accomplish? What plaques do you have on your wall? Ben Roethlisberger, 2-time Super Bowl champion, yet did not win MVP in either of the Super Bowls. Won Rookie of the Year back in 2004, made the Pro Bowl 6 times, led the NFL in passing yards in 14 and 18. He also was in the Pittsburgh Steelers Hall of Honor. He is one of the best players that they've ever had. He has the most career 500-yard passing games. He has the record for most completions in a game. Again, he's got the 2 championships, and he was a very, very good quarterback. They won a very high percentage of his games while he was there. I don't know if Ben Roethlisberger is getting in on the first ballot. Like, if you were telling me Bill Belichick might get in next year, arguably greatest coach in league history, Adrian Peterson, clear best running back of his generation, Rob Gronkowski, either the best or second best tight end of his era, depending on where you have him ranked with Kelsey, but I think Kelsey is past him. I think Kelsey is 1, Gronk is 2. Next year's class is putting in the 6th or 7th best quarterback from his class. I do think Roethlisberger gets in eventually. I don't know if Ben Roethlisberger is getting in next year with that class, and we're going to look at Ben Roethlisberger as a first ballot Hall of Fame kind of guy. He seems to me like somebody who gets in on the 2nd or 3rd go around, in my opinion. Let's go around the room here really quickly. Kenny, we'll start with you. Ben Roethlisberger, Hall of Fame. Is he a first ballot or not?
I mean, like, personally, I would. He's top 10 in yards and touchdowns. He's won 2 Super Bowls. I know he did a lot of his winning early, but I'm a sucker for the Killer Bees. I know they didn't win anything, but the numbers that he put up with Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and those offenses, he was still a very good quarterback. He was always a top 7 at least quarterback almost every career. To me, that's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I understand where you're coming from, where the voters might not put him in because of the loaded class and everything, but personally, I would vote him a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a top 12 quarterback of all time.
Yeah, that's the thing to me when you just kind of look at, like, I think the perception early on in his career was that he was kind of a game manager, caretaker quarterback, and he certainly was, early on in his career. But there was a light flip that switched with him, and you alluded to it when he had Antonio Brown, who, if you look at that 3-year stretch with Antonio Brown, you'll put that up against just about any wide receiver in league history from a production standpoint. Le'Veon Bell was super dangerous. That was a team that probably should have went to a championship and just kept kind of knocking their head against the New England Patriots and couldn't get over the hump during that time frame. But Roethlisberger, absolutely. Like, Roethlisberger at his peak. So we're talking from maybe 2012 to 2017, maybe 2018, where you're just putting up these big, massive numbers. I mean, he has 2 basically 5,000-yard passing season. He had a 49.52, which is you're 48 yards away from 5,000. And then he threw for 5,000 yards in 2018, 5,100 yards and 34 touchdown passes, and had a 100 quarterback rating. He had the best version of Ben Roethlisberger is certainly a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think ultimately he's going to get in. Tyler, what do you think about Big Ben? Is he going to be a first ballot guy?
No, I don't think so. I think they're going to try to get some of the older guys in. And you said that the 3, Belichick, Gronk, and Adrian Peterson, like, those guys are locks. I think he'll get in the 2nd and 3rd year. If he won an MVP, I think he'd be a lock first ballot, but never won an MVP. So I'll say he'll get in the 2nd and 3rd time.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. The guy I want to see eventually get into me is Torrey Holt. I don't understand why Torrey Holt's not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It doesn't make any sense to me. Kurt Warner is in the Hall of Fame. Marshall Faulk is in the Hall of Fame. Isaac Bruce is in the Hall of Fame. Like, if we put in 3 of the 4 guys from that greatest show on turf offense, why Torrey Holt continues to be left out just makes absolutely no sense to me. He won a championship. He's been an All-Pro 7 times. He made the Pro Bowl 2 separate times. He was an NFL receiver in yards and receptions. He's also on the All-Decade team in the 2000s. That stuff really matters to me. The other 3 receivers are all in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So on the first team, it was Marvin Harrison and Randy Moss. And then the second team, it was Torrey Holt and T.O. Those are the 4 wide receivers from the all-decade team. Those 3 guys, no doubt, unquestioned Hall of Famers. I don't know why Torrey Holt isn't in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's one of the ones that just it doesn't make any sense, to be honestly. I would have voted for Torrey Holt a long time ago. He's been a finalist 7 times and hadn't gotten in. I would vote for Torrey Holt. I do think he should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame from his time with the St. Louis Rams. And again, especially if you got those other 3 guys in there, you got to put that whole offense in there. Like, you want to talk about the modern day offense, the explosion, that Rams team in 1999 from like 99 to 2001. That's one of the scariest offenses in league history. All right, coming up on the other side, I want to play a game here. I have created a set of NFL playoff parlays. I want you to tell me who is going to sell this slip, because we all gamble on these things. There's always one team or one leg that fails every single time. We'll go through who's going to sell your slip. That's coming up. Keep it right here on You Better You Bet.
Let's
Welcome back to You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
I just saw this get posted online. So 3 months from today, Oregon plays Ohio State, Miami plays Notre Dame, Alabama plays LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss, BYU, and Utah. I mean, just what a slate. What a slate. I mean, maybe one of those games will fall through. I mean, it's possible, right? It's definitely possible that one of those games will fall through. All of them ain't falling through. Oregon, Ohio State, sounds like it'll be a good one. Miami, Notre Dame, sounds like it'll be a good one. I love college football. We're going to talk college football coming up in just a little bit. But, I mean, that's strong. I'm here to tell you, that's strong. All right, today, BetMGM players, you will receive an Any Sports Parlay Boost token. To use this token, add a parlay wager to your bet slip, activate the token, and if you win your wager that was made with that token, you will receive some extra winnings. Download the BetMGM app today, and remember to please gamble responsibly. All right, speaking of gambling and gambling responsibly, I got 2 messages that I want to share. Now, maybe I'm not supposed to share this message with you guys on You Better You Bet, but they asked me to come here, so I got to tell it how it is. Betting on the Hall of Fame game, you got to call that number at the bottom of the screen. That number right there. Like yesterday, if you told me that you played the under in a preseason football game, you got to call that number right there. It's on the screen. I'm sure you see it. 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-GET-HELP. You can't be participating in that. There's going to be too many real football games here coming up in a couple of weeks. Bet on baseball. There was a great WNBA game yesterday. I watched it. It was on Amazon Prime. It was a fantastic game between the Aces and the Fever. I need you to take the over on Chelsea Gray threes. I need you to do that. Play an NFL future. Please do something like that. That's just me being a friend. That's me trying to help you. Now, I mean, I can't judge people. I bet on the hot dog eating contest this past year. I mean, I took the over-under on Joey Chestnut hot dogs. I was sitting there. I'm like, I might as well put something on it. So, I mean, maybe I can't be the one to give you that message. But somebody out there, you need that message. If you woke up today and you're angry because the over hit in the Hall of Fame game, you gotta really start to reevaluate your life and the choices that you've made. Like, you're going on the wrong path, and that's why I'm here today. That's why Nick is off today, and that's why they put me here to tell you that you can beat this, and I'm standing with you. So I created 4 separate parlays. I have 4 playoff parlays, 4 futures. Now, I'm not really a parlay man. I'm much more of a straight bet guy myself, but, I mean, everybody dabbles in a parlay from time to time. I heard somebody say this, your straight bets, that's your meat, that's your potatoes. The parlay, that's a dessert. You can't have a diet of all dessert. No, you got to have a diet of some good carbs, some good protein, and then you sprinkle in the sweet stuff every once in a while. But some of you going to parlay crazy. I've created 4 parlays here. Now, for those of you that bet parlays, you know exactly what I'm saying is true. It's always one leg that sells you every single time. Like, you'll cash the first 3, and you'll be sitting there hovering. They'll ask you, do you want to cash out? But the cash out isn't as much as you thought it was going to be. And you're like, I'm going to let it ride. And then when you're letting it ride for that last game, I'm telling you, you're on the edge of your seat for Bowling Green, Toledo. And you're miserable. You're miserable in this situation. So I got 4 parlays. And we're going to go around the room, and I want to ask you, who do you think sells this slip? Because we know all of these are not cashing. That's just not the way that it works. All right, Tyler, first up, I got you here. I have a parlay. This is going to pay out at $220 is what it pays out. It is Bills, Rams, Ravens, and Seahawks, all 4 of them to make the playoffs. Bills, Rams, Ravens, and Hawks plus $220 to all make the playoffs. Who's selling your slip? Who is going to be the reason that this doesn't cash?
Oh, man, that's a good. I think that's going to win. But if there's one that doesn't work, even though I like him to win the AFC, maybe Jesse Minter experiment doesn't work out in Baltimore. and Cincinnati's better than I think, and they finally get over that hump. So I would say Baltimore, even though I like them to win the AFC. But I love that parlay. I don't know how that's not hitting.
Okay, Kenny, I'm sitting here reading the chat. Kenny, you think this hits? You think that you're going to be able to cash this 2-to-1 ticket, and you think you're going to the window, and you think you're getting paid out in January?
I'll take it a step further. I know some sports books offer this. I think there's a better chance so the Rams and Seattle, because they're in the same division, I think there's a better chance those are the two best teams in their conference, respectively. So, like, Rams seed, Seattle being the 5 seed, Baltimore and Buffalo being the 1 and 2 seed. I think that's more likely than any of those teams missing, as crazy as that sounds.
Nope. Okay, all right. You have all 4 of these teams hitting at plus 220. Bills, Rams, Ravens, and Seahawks. You think that this is the cashing ticket?
Yeah, for sure.
I have another one for you. This one is at plus 228. Now, I got less teams in this one. Kansas City, Detroit, Philadelphia. Chiefs, Lions, Eagles, all to make the playoffs, plus 228. Is this slip cashing? Who's selling your ticket? Kenny, we'll start with you. Are you cashing this?
I like this one as well. I think all 3 of these teams make it. But I would say, as crazy as this sounds, I'd say Philly, because I think it's tough, because I think Philly's good and I think they are a playoff team, but I think there is a little bit of disaster potential if the offensive coordinator move doesn't work out. Their defense is just so good. I think they're definitely a playoff team. That's why I say it. And I think Kansas City has a bounce back year, and I really love Detroit's schedule, and I'm really high on Detroit this year. So I think that's another really good parlay.
Okay, all right. Chiefs, Lions, Eagles, plus 228. You think that's cashing? You think I've created 2 winning parlays here? You're more than welcome to play them. I'm on the opposite side of you at Detroit. I think Detroit's selling this slip. I think Kansas City gets in as a wild card team. I do have Denver winning the AFC West. I think Philadelphia gets into the playoffs. I could either see them winning the division or getting in as a wild card team. There's enough things on the Eagles that I like. I question if the window has closed for Detroit and if they're going to have enough, and especially in a division that's super competitive. Like, I think you can make a case for all 4 teams in that division, even Minnesota. We just saw what they did with Sam Darnold a couple of years ago. If they can do something similar to Kyler Murray, then I think that they could end up being one of those kind of teams. So, yeah, if you're asking me one of these teams is going to sell this ticket, I think it's Detroit. Tyler, where are you at? Chiefs, Lions, Eagles, plus 228. Do you think this slip cashes, or do you think somebody sells it?
So I think it cashes. The team, I agree with you, that will sell it is Detroit. It's just because the defense, if they're as bad as we think they could be, like, they can score 30 points all they want. They're probably giving up 40. And I also like the Bears and the Vikings a ton this year. So I think Detroit is going to be the one that sells that.
Okay, you have Detroit being the team that sells this. All right, now I have a couple of parlays on the other side. These are all teams to miss the playoffs. I'm only playing plus money. I see people, they're doing these parlays and you're still paying the juice. I'm not putting a parlay together and paying juice. I can't do both of them. All right, these are my miss the playoffs. Steelers, Colts, Falcons, plus 197. Steelers, Colts, Falcons, all to miss the playoffs. Basically 2-to-1 odds. Kenny, is that a slip that's going to cash?
Carrington, you're doing a really good job with these parlays. This is another one that
That's why I'm here. Love. That's why they put me on You Better You Bet.
This is another one I absolutely love. If I had to pick one team, I'll say the Steelers, just because, it's Aaron Rodgers last year. The AFC is just so tough. I think they're more of a ninth or 10th best team. That puts them on the outside looking in. I'm not buying in on the Colts, and I'm not buying in on Atlanta.
Kenny, you know what, man? The 3 or 4 times that I've done this, you and I have never been on the same page. You told me you'd never been to Taco Bell. We've never been on the same page. Today, me and you were simpatico. This is that moment from Step Brothers. You know, where they hated each other the whole movie, and then they realized like they were very similar, and then they just started having so much fun. That's me and you right now creating these parlays. You thought I was going to come on here, you bet, and not try to help out the people. I'm here to help out the people. I'm here to give them winning parlays. Steelers, Colts, Falcons. I actually like that one a lot. I do. I actually really like that one. I think that one cashes. Steelers, Colts, Falcons to all miss the playoffs. Yes, I'm with you. That's my favorite one I made so far. I got another one, but we're running out of time. I got more parlays. Oh, trust me. I can put some more together. If you want me to put you a parlay together to help you cash one of these slips. But Steelers, Colts, Falcons plus 200. I'm telling you, that might be one to keep an eye on. All right, coming up at the top of the hour, we're going to talk a little college football. We are a couple of weeks away from the start of the college football season. I think this is going to be a very, very fun season. We're going to be joined by Ant Herron. He covers college football for the Big Ten Network. We'll get his thoughts as college football is right around the corner. My name is Carrington Harrison. Happy to be here, filling in for my guy, Nick Kostos. You're listening to You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Good morning. Welcome back into the show. My name is Carrington Harrison. Very happy to be here. We're going to be joined by Ant Herron. He covers the Big Ten here coming up in a little bit. We'll talk some college football with him in just a bit. Let me give you the preseason top 10 from the coaches poll. Number 10, Ole Miss. Number 9, Oklahoma. 8, Texas A&M. 7, Miami. 6, Indiana. Indiana had the second most first place votes behind Ohio State. Yes, we are here. Indiana is a college football powerhouse. Number 5, Notre Dame. 4, Texas. 3, Georgia. Number 2 is Oregon. And number 1, The Ohio State University. Those are the top teams in college football. Let's head to the phone lines right now to be joined by Ant Herron. He played college football at the University of Iowa. He covers the Big Ten. He covers the sport. We are a couple of weeks away from getting things going. Ant, good morning. Happy to talk college football with you.
I appreciate you having me on the show. Yeah, I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with this. It's got to feel good to see the Big Ten on top. We talked about the SEC for 20 years. They won all these national championships. They kept putting all these guys in the pros. All of a sudden, once everybody can start paying players, we've seen a radical shift, and now the Big Ten's on top.
That's pretty much how the not only the psychology, but really just the pure facts of it have gone so far. Now, the shift in psychology has been probably the fun part, sort of the unanticipated fun that's been there, because there have been a lot of complaints about the folks down south. But the SEC was on top for a long time and remarkably deep for years. But now in the NIL and transfer portal era, between the two aspects of college football from a player perspective that have adjusted most, yes, players being able to be compensated beyond the same scholarship I was getting decades ago, that's been a big difference. But the ability for talent to be dispersed at a variety of different schools, and where you don't have an individual program stockpiling talent and guys don't have to sort of wait their turn, quote unquote, while they're backing up a quarterback or backing up a running back or backing up a pass rusher. They're looking for opportunities to get on the field. And when they can do that, yes, there are programs that are as deep as they've ever been, but there are also a number of programs that have guys who either come in with experience from elsewhere or say, you know what, I'm not really looking to wait my turn. I thought I was going to be able to break into the lineup. I've got 4 years of eligibility. Now it'll be 5 years of eligibility to get on the field and get this thing done as a college athlete. So they're able to pursue those opportunities elsewhere. So now the talent is dispersed in a way, and especially quarterback play in the Big Ten is deeper than we've ever seen it before.
And as we take a look at this coaches poll, I also saw the Big Ten preseason poll as well. It had Ohio State at the top. Do you think Ohio State's the best team in the country? Do you see them as the favorite coming into the season?
I don't. I see them amongst the favorites, but Oregon is more my pick to click than Ohio State. The Ducks right now, beyond Dante Moore returning for another season of major college football, where he could have gone to the NFL draft, been one of the top 3 picks, maybe, certainly one of the top 5 picks, but perhaps one of the top 3 picks in the NFL draft for how things would have played out with him going through the pre-draft cycle and just how exciting he is, not only as an athlete, but the maturity that he shows. So you've got the guy who will be in the conversation to be the number 1 overall pick in the next NFL draft cycle. He came back for another season in Eugene when he didn't have to. So not only that, but they'll, right now going into the season, assumed to be healthier at wide receiver, DeCorian Moore, Evan Stewart. They've got an offensive line that returns largely intact, a very deep backfield. But the defensive front for the Oregon Ducks, that's where the physical maturity, the mental and emotional stamina, that tends to show up for these national championship teams, especially what's been won from the Big Ten in recent years, whether you're talking Michigan, Ohio State, and then most recently Indiana. You saw a really experienced front seven on defense that's just as dominant as any team in the country. That's what's been leading the Big Ten to these national championships as much as anything else. The quarterbacks are the darlings, and yes, myself as an old defensive lineman, there may be some bias in this statement, but when you look at what Oregon has back on the D-line with guys like Tatum Tuioti and and Bear Alexander and Mateo Uyunglele. They've got a lot of guys who could be in the NFL right now that returned for another season. I believe it's the deepest and most talented defensive front in the country. That, to me, is what separates Oregon, because they're really good at, I'm going to say every position right now, like linebacker. That's maybe the one spot where I look at it and say, okay, do they have the best linebacker core in the Big Ten? Probably not. But they got a great secondary. They've got the best D-line in the country, and their offense is absolutely stellar. We'll see what happens at coordinator, but right now I'd go with the Ducks over the Buckeyes.
And as a guy who played in the Big Ten and covered the Big Ten, you're going to laugh at me for saying this. I didn't believe Indiana was good until last year's win against Penn State. Like, that was the one that I'm like, hey, maybe I've been disrespecting Indiana this entire time, because that first season I felt like it was completely built off the schedule, and then they fizzled out in the playoffs. Like, oh yeah, okay, I knew it. Then the next season I'm like, oh, it was a cute story, and now they'll go 9-3, they'll be okay. When Mendoza took them down the field and Omar Cooper toe tapped them back, I'm like, oh, that team's for real. That team's good. I was on board the rest of the way. It is so remarkable what we've seen Indiana turn into over the last 3 years or so, where they are one of the 5 best programs in college football. What is it like to see their transformation over this time? When did you kind of have that epiphany of, oh, this is just not some blip in the radar? Like, this is a team that's on par with the Texases, the Georgias, the Ohio States.
So during the season last year, and frankly, I can even go back to the preseason, because the year before, when IU made the CFP in Curt Cignetti's first season, and then ended up losing a tough game to Notre Dame. Notre Dame was blowing everybody else out. Indiana played the Irish closer than anybody else did on their way towards making the national championship game. But with that being said, Indiana was wiping the floor with everybody in Cignetti's first season. So that, to me, was the separating factor, just in looking at their schedule and say, yeah, they didn't play some of the best teams in America, and a couple of teams who usually are good were down that year. All those things were true, but man, were they dominant. And that matters, at least in my mind, and it did end up mining in the matter of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. But last season, to go on the road to Eugene, to go on the road to Iowa City, to go on the road, to your point, to Beaver Stadium in State College. And that wasn't one of the great all-time Penn State teams, but they were the squad last year, Penn State, that had a bunch of talent that could have gone to the NFL at quarterback and running back and defensive line. All those guys returned. They fell flat on their face, and James Franklin got fired. But those are all the same guys that were having and showing that physical ability, and nearly took down the Hoosiers. And then those dramatics took place for Fernando Mendoza, and that just kind of became a part of Indiana's resume. They had a bunch of those kind of wins where they had to sort of stand up against a few late mistakes and find their way back into games in hostile road environments. The Southeastern Conference can talk about all their hostile road environments as they want to. Big Ten's got just as many, if not more. So when you win a game like that, dramatic fashion in Iowa City and in Eugene and in Beaver Stadium and State College, like all those things matter when you're kind of formulating your national championship DNA. And that was as impressive as anything that Indiana did last season. What'll be interesting to me about the Hoosiers this year is that there was kind of a core in place. A lot of it was James Madison players that Curt Cignetti brought with him through his first couple of seasons, and then he supplemented with a transfer portal quarterback. And there were a few guys who had already predated him in Bloomington that he nurtured and developed within his system and helped lead them to a national championship. That being said, this year, there's a lot of turnover in the Indiana roster. Now, I'll be fascinated to see not only the newness that's going to be there with the Hoosiers, but then you factor in that I'd say this is probably going to be the most physically talented team that Curt Cignetti's had. It's not going to be these guys with kind of the upstart underdog chip on their shoulder that has seemingly been one of the reasons that in the 2 years Cignetti's been there hasn't been one game that you can look at and say Indiana didn't show up ready to play, sharp and focused and near their peak. That's so hard to do with college student athletes, to really have them mentally prepared to be at their peak on a weekly basis. That's been the elixir for Curt Cignetti. to have them either blow the doors off a team they're obviously better than or be ready to stand up against a team who's probably overmatching them physically, which has been the case in the couple of years that Cignetti's been there at IU. He doesn't take the field with more talent than Ohio State or Oregon or even Penn State last season, but they find a way to get it done. And so that degree of focus and consistency, can he sustain that now with a largely new group of players who haven't really been in his system that long? I'll look forward to watching that. Just does that Curt Cignetti's secret sauce continue to sustain itself?
Right now, we're talking to Ant Herron, who covers the Big Ten, played at Iowa, just talking a little bit of college football. And if you look at the playoff odds right now to win the Big Ten, Ohio State is at plus 180, Oregon is at plus 260, Indiana is at plus 310. And then there is a massive gap between those three teams and everybody else in the Big Ten. I don't think that one of those other teams are going to win the league. I think you and I agree. The winner's going to be either Ohio State, Oregon, or Indiana. But there's always going to be a surprise. Penn State's going to be a lot better than people think and win 9 games this year, or USC or Michigan or one of those kind of teams. Who is a team in the Big Ten that you like, not necessarily to win, but just be a surprise, be a much better team, kind of like how Ole Miss was in the SEC last year?
I think in that regard, I like USC. And, don't get me wrong, USC has a really difficult schedule this season. So from a Trojans perspective, that does concern me a bit. But I was talking about teams that, I mentioned Indiana maybe being the most physically talented version of the Hoosiers that have been there since Curt Cignetti took over. I think Lincoln Riley's been building the Trojans up toward this point where not only are they going to have excellence at quarterback and playmaking at receiver, that'll be there. And getting to talk to Jade Maiava last week, I was very impressed just with how he carried himself. Seemed very comfortable in his own skin, and there was a confidence that he exuded that I think is really going to serve him well, especially coming off the season that he put together last year. And yes, they lost a couple of the top receivers in college football with no Lemon or Lane coming back this year. But we know Lincoln Riley always finds wideouts. So I think the Trojans are going to pass the ball at a high level. What encourages me, though, is that USC began to run the football at a high level last year. It was the best rushing attack that Lincoln Riley's had since he's been leading things in SoCal. That should be really encouraging to Trojans fans because you go back to his time at Oklahoma, those were his best Sooners teams, the ones that ran the football at a high level. That should bolster a defense that's gotten more and more talented every year that Lincoln Riley's been there. Now, he did lose Danton Lynn, who's no longer there with the Trojans, but then you bring in a guy who, at least at a time, was thought of as one of the top defensive minds in the sport in Gary Patterson. So how does that end up informing the way that the Trojans can operate defensively? I think that they're going to be good on defense. They're as experienced on the lines of scrimmage as they've been at any point, and they're deeper now, not only via the transfer portal, but what they've done in recruiting, top recruiting class in this last recruiting cycle. So it's just a deeper and especially a more physical version of USC football than Lincoln Riley's ever put on the field. So the Trojans, I see them as a team that will be right there in line to make Lincoln Riley's first college football playoff appearance.
And let's move from the Big Ten to the SEC. Georgia right now is at plus 290. Texas is at plus 330. There's then a big gap. Alabama plus 800. LSU plus 900. The public in Vegas see this as Georgia and Texas, a 2-horse race to win the conference. Which of those teams do you like more to win the SEC? Do you like Georgia or Texas?
I'm in on Georgia. I think that both will be there in the mix, as I was kind of referencing when you look at what Ohio State and Oregon bring to the table. But I do think that the way that Kirby Smart has always been able to recruit and the way that his program is kind of, they're not accustomed to not being in the mix. And even more so than Alabama, where I'm a little bit wait and see on how great Kalen DeBoer can make the Tide in Tuscaloosa. But this does feel to me like a season where we're going to see a version of the Georgia Bulldogs that's right back there competing for the SEC title, making the college football playoff, and who knows, fingers crossed from an SEC perspective. Maybe that conference can actually start winning some playoff games. They haven't done a lot of that in the last few seasons. But I think, Texas and Georgia splitting hairs a little bit. I am bullish on Arch Manning. You know, that people were out over their skis on Arch Manning last year with the Longhorns, but I do think now another season as a full-time starter, the growth we saw from him late in the season last year, I do anticipate that carrying over with Sark into a version of Arch Manning that I still don't think he's going to be the best quarterback in the country or the number one overall pick coming up, but he will be closer to the guy that a lot of folks were assuming he was going to be last season. But just top to bottom, looking at the running back position, the growth on defense, and having a returning starter at QB, I think Georgia's the squad to me that'll come out of the SEC.
Taking a closer look at the college football playoff, let's assume that Miami wins the ACC. They're the clear best team heading into the season. Right. Let's assume that Texas Tech is going to win the Big 12. I think they're the best team in the Big 12. Do you think that either one of those conferences get another team? Because we know the Big 10 is going to get 4 or 5 teams. You know the SEC is going to get 4 or 5 teams. I think that the Big 12 gets one. I think the ACC gets one. Do you think there is another one playoff team between either of those two conferences?
I mean, it's tough to say because the ACC on an annual basis feels like sort of this crapshoot. We're not completely sure beyond Miami at this point who's another team. And there tends to be another team that emerges in the conversation, but is there a Mensa that's going to lead Duke and have them be a much better team than many anticipated? I don't know who that is in the ACC this season, but I do know that conference values football. I do know those coaches have had great winning resumes in the past. They've just been left behind a little bit from a resource, a recruiting perspective. So for the ACC, that is a league that I've got my eye on, just wondering, will there be another team? Can Dabo and Clemson kind of get themselves back into the mix? They're not far removed from being right there competing in a hotly contested college football playoff game. So I could see either league, the ACC or the Big 12, but just by what we've seen from them in recent years, the ACC is more the direction I lean. Because Florida State fans, they're ready to run folks out of town down there in Tallahassee. So I think there's a few programs who, just from a brand identity perspective, I do think I could see them in that mix. But because of the portal era, it's hard to know for sure who that is during the preseason. I'm basing it largely on the respect I have for coaches of certain programs and what they've shown from themselves on their resumes historically.
I'll get you out of here with this last question if you will go on this nostalgic journey with me for just a bit. I want you to think of the college football player that when you saw him play, your thought was, oh, he's different. Like when you see a Malachi Toney or you see a Jeremiah Smith, he's different. Like for me, that guy is Peter Warrick. Anytime somebody posts a Peter Warrick highlight, I'm stopping what I'm doing for the next 3 minutes, and I'm just watching Peter Warrick just run by everybody. I still don't know if we've seen a college football player look like that in highlights the way that Peter Warrick was when he was in his absolute prime. When you think of a college football player, you think, oh, he's different. Who's that guy that comes to mind for you?
So seeing a guy I'll give you two versions of this. Seeing a guy on the field at the same time that I didn't necessarily have to compete directly against, but David Boston at Ohio State as a wide receiver was truly, he was the embodiment of a man amongst boys. You just couldn't do anything with him. He was as big as any of the defensive ends out there, myself included, but all rocked up, lightning fast, and he had great hands. I don't know if he just got too big when he got to the NFL or what, because he couldn't sustain it in the league. He had a couple of nice seasons there, I think, with the Arizona Cardinals, but I didn't have to cover or really frequently try to tackle David Boston. But that was just a guy that made me say, wow, whenever I saw him when we were on the field at the same time against Ohio State. But the guy who I really tried to corral that just still gives me nightmares at this point was Antoine Randall as an Indiana quarterback. And the worst part is, not only did I have to chase him around in the Big Ten, we competed against each other in high school as well. I was at Bolingbrook High School. He was at Thornton. And he played quarterback back then, and he was just a guy who was ahead of his time. They wouldn't have moved Randall to wide receiver if he were in the draft sometime in recent years here. He would have been a Kyler Murray type, a Baker Mayfield type, one of these diminutive quarterbacks, Bryce Young, who still has that true playmaking ability. And Antoine Randall had a live arm, an accurate arm, and he turned the Indiana Hoosiers at a time where they were right in the midst of being the losingest program in college football because of his sheer excellence. he turned them into a bowl team by the end of his career. It was one of the great feats in college football history. He was the best player in the country. If he was on a better team, he would have won the Heisman by the time he left Bloomington. So that, to me, as far as a guy who I just had to try to corral and compete against, nobody gave me fits like Antoine Randall.
Those are two good ones. David Boston, just big, physical Ohio State guy. Like, that's a good one. Like, I can imagine when you see him, I'm like, hold on, like, I got to cover that guy? I got to tackle that guy? Yeah, no, David Boston's a good one. That is Ant Heron joining us on the show. He played at Iowa, played in the league, played in the Big Ten, and also currently does work with the Big Ten Network. Ant, great stuff, man. I love college football. I'm excited. It's right around the corner, man. Appreciate you popping on this morning.
Yes, thanks a lot, man. Good talking to you.
Absolutely. That's Ant Heron joining us on the show. Coming up on the other side, I want to play a very simple game called Pick One. I'll explain the rules. Keep it right here. It's You Better You Bet.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Welcome back into the show. Today we're catching a vibe, as the kids would say. I have some more parlays that we'll get to here coming up in a bit. Let me move this camera around here. Hold on. My apologies, people. Hold on. Let me fix the camera here. All right. So what we're going to do to close things out, filling in for my guy Nick Kostos on You Better You Bet, is first I need to tell you that this segment is sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. Make sure to give our friends over at Progressive a phone call. We are going to play a very simple game. The game is going to be called Pick One. There is a series of NFL questions, and you have to pick one. Very, very simple. Tyler, take it away.
All right, first one. Which team is most likely to make the Super Bowl? Broncos, Lions, or Eagles, Carrington?
I mean, you guys know what side I'm on. I've given you a very consistent theme of all of these. It really just comes down to, do you believe in the Denver Broncos? But I'm getting a sense, at least not on this show, there are not a lot of believers. I am a believer. I like this Broncos team. I think they do a lot of things well. I think they have a capable quarterback. If they can keep J.K. Dobbins healthy, which no team has ever been able to do, but I like R.J. Harvey. I think they've got a very talented wide receiver room with Cortland Sutton, Jalen Waddle, and Troy Franklin at 700 yards last year. Evan Ingram at tight end. They've got a good offensive line. They got one of the better defenses in the National Football League, top 5. I don't know what there is not to like about the Denver Broncos. So if you were telling me that all three of these teams have very similar Super Bowl odds and they're all around each other, yeah, I'm taking the Broncos at 20-1. They went to the AFC Championship game last year. Yes, I'm taking the Broncos. I can't believe this. I don't know why they're getting disrespected the way that they're getting disrespected. Please give me the Broncos at 20-1.
All right, which team was most likely to miss? Bengals, Dallas Cowboys, or Baltimore Ravens?
I actually like Dallas. Let me talk more about what there is to like about Dallas. We had Herm Edwards on. If you don't trust me, trust the old ball coach. If Dallas can just be 19th defensively, they're a playoff team. They don't got to be top 5. If they can just be the 19th best defense in the National Football League, they're a playoff team. I think they win that division if they get the 19th best defense. So I'm removing them. I think they're making it. I'm not a Cincinnati believer. I'm really not. We go through this song and dance every single season with them. Burrow will be dealing with some injury. They won't be able to block. He'll be running for his life. They can't stop a nosebleed. You're not fooling me with that anymore if you're Cincinnati. You fooled me with that a couple of years ago. You believe in Cincinnati. They get off to a 1-3 start. They spend the entire second half of the season trying to make up for the slow start that they're in. I'm done with the Cincinnati shenanigans. I'm out. So if you're asking me out of that team, which team do I think is most likely, I'm picking Cincinnati. I don't want no parts of it.
Which head coach will be the first one fired? Shane Steichen, Todd Bowles, or Dan Quinn?
This is a good one. Now, I looked this up. There have been 12 coaches in the last 4 years that have been fired at the midway point, over the course of the season. So somebody getting fired. I don't know who, but somebody is not making it to the end of the season. I'm going to go with Shane Steichen. I'm going to go with the Colts. Can you not see it? Colts, they spent a lot of money at quarterback, a lot of money at running back. Shane Steichen's been given a lot of opportunity. If you're their general manager, Chris Ballard, you got to throw somebody to the wolves because you're not throwing yourself as you make a push to give yourself another chance to make another head coaching hire. Yeah, I think out of that list right now, if you're telling me there's going to be a coach fired in the middle of the season, because I don't think it's going to be Aaron Glenn. I don't think they're going to be good this year. I don't think it's Arizona. They just got a new head coach. They're obviously not very good. This has Indianapolis Colts 2-5 start, and we need to make a change, so we're firing our head coach. That's who they have. Who do you have? Who do you have as the first coach fired in the NFL this year?
Oh man, I think Todd Bowles is a good one, just in case his team completely bottoms out, and he seems like an easy fire for Tampa Bay too. So, and then they can just restart it next year. So, I'll go Todd Bowles.
Yeah, what always makes me laugh about Todd Bowles is he just has the same expression on his face every single time I've seen him. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen Todd Bowles happy. I don't know if I've ever seen Todd Bowles sad. I've never seen him angry. He just always has this just constant state of confusion on his face. No matter what is happening, his team could have scored a touchdown. He still looks confused, like he doesn't know how many points his team is going to get at the end of it. Todd Bowles' face is just, it's incredible. Good luck to Todd Bowles. I love the man, but he has the same expression every single time I've seen him.
All right, and the final one here. Which second-year quarterback will have the best season, Jackson Dart, Tyler Shuck, or Cam Ward?
You know what? I think the right answer is Jackson Dart, but I don't want to take Jackson Dart. I think the New Orleans Saints are making the playoffs this year. I think New Orleans winning their division. I'm a believer in what they did at the end of the season. That's what I am. I am a believer in what they got done the final 6 weeks of the season. So sign me up right now. Carrington Harrison filling in for my guy Nick Kostos. You better you bet. Westwood One Radio, presented by BetMGM. Take it to the bank. Saints are making the playoffs this year. Tyler Shuck. He should win Most Improved Player as he puts himself into the MVP conversation. They gave him some dogs now, too. He got Chris Olave and he got Jordan Tyson, and they improved at running back. Oh, yeah, no, Saints making the playoffs this year. Go ahead and mark it down. Saints are making the playoffs. That's all we got? That's our last question? I had fun picking. I wanted to keep picking. Kenny, I've got some parlays for you. I mean, if you want to start calling me Parlay Poppy when I'm feeling like, if you don't want to put Carrington Harrison on there, you just want to start putting Parlay Poppy on there, I'm happy to let that happen. If that's what you want to start referring to me as on here, like right now you have NFL parlays. No, don't put that. At Parlay Poppy is what I want you to put on here. All right, I've got two more for you. Are you ready? All right, I gotta test you and see where you're at. I gotta test you. This is at plus 425. Plus 425. These three teams, Chargers, Niners, and Bears, to all make the playoffs. Chargers, Niners, and Bears, 4-1 odds. Who sells this slip?
You said all three to make, right?
All three to make the playoffs. Chargers, Bears, and Niners.
I love the Chargers and I love the Bears, but
that's why I put them in here, because I know you. I've been listening to you.
I'm really down on the 49ers, and it's not just because I think the team is old and is going to have injuries. Of course, that plays a big part into it, but it just goes into the fact where I think they're automatically the third best team in the division because of how high I am on the Rams, of course, and I'm not going to doubt Seattle as the Super Bowl champion. So as a third place team in your division, that only gives you a few options, a few slots to make the playoffs, and I'm higher on some other teams and some other divisions in the NFC, so I would say the Niners are going to ruin that one. That one's not going to hit.
Yeah, I think the Niners are missing the playoffs this year. I think they're missing the playoffs. Like right now, if you look at it, they're minus 134 to make the playoffs, and they are, let me pull it up here, to miss the playoffs. They're plus 114 to miss the playoffs. I'm taking them to miss the playoffs. They feel beaten down. Like, we're going into the season with Mike Evans and Deebo Samuel. They're your top two receivers. What year is it? It's 2026. In 2021, you might have had the best wide receiver room in the National Football League. Now you got Mike Evans and Deebo Samuel. Yeah, with a hurt Brock Purdy. How old is Trent Williams? Trent Williams has got to be 43 years old. He has to be. He's like Julio Franco's age. No. San Francisco's missing the playoffs this year. The only reason we're not talking about it is because we got so much love for Kyle Shanahan and how good he's been. But he's got his own personal stuff going on. No, I'm telling you right now, San Francisco plus 114, out of here. No, out of here. Missing the playoffs. That first game is in Australia, too. They're going to go. They're going to lose. It's going to mess up their internal body clock. And they're done. They're done for the rest of the year. All right, I got another one for you. These are all 4 teams to miss the playoffs. It's at plus 200. Carolina, Tennessee, the Giants, and the Commanders. Panthers, Titans, Giants, Commanders, all to miss the playoffs. Are you taking this slip? Do you think it's going to cash, or who's selling this slip?
No, because I have been high on the Titans and high on Cam Ward because I mean,
okay.
I think they probably should miss the playoffs. I think 7 to 8 wins is probably their ceiling, but there is a world where the AFC South is just bad if Houston and Jacksonville take a massive step back, which opens the door for a team like same kind of thing with Carolina, even though Carolina kind of had the crazy season last year and now they're having a bunch of injuries. So definitely out on the Giants, and I wouldn't put the Commanders in there. So I like the parlay for the most part, but I'm probably a little bit too high on Tennessee to put them in a parlay to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take Tennessee at plus 440 right now. You can get them at plus 440 to make the playoffs. Like, all of these teams that are minus money are not making the playoffs. Like, you're sitting there looking at the minus money. I mean, there's only 7 teams that can make the playoffs, and there's 10 teams right now that they have that you're paying the juice on to make the playoffs. So all of these teams are not making the playoffs. That's not how this works. So you're going to tell me a couple of these plus money teams. So looking at it right now, these are the teams at plus money in the AFC. Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Cleveland, Vegas, the Jets, and the Dolphins. Now, I don't think the Jets and the Dolphins are making the playoffs, but we all know, we all been following this long enough. Colts, Steelers, Titans, one of those teams is making the playoffs. It's just how it happens every single year. One of those teams is making the playoffs. I could see Tennessee being much better than people think, and grabbing one of those spots. So, yeah, I'm with you. I actually like Tennessee to make the playoffs. I would not play that parlay. But the one I really like, my favorite one that we had so far is Steelers, Colts, and Falcons all to miss the playoffs at plus 200. That's a winning parlay. That's a winning parlay there. I'm a big fan of that one. All right, my name is Carrington Harrison. Happy to be here. Happy to be filling in for my guy Nick Kostos on You Better You Bet. We'll put a bow on this thing next. Keep it right here on Westwood One Sports.
Cleveland.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Today, I want to encourage all BetMGM players to hop on the app. You will receive an Any Sports Parlay Boost token. To use this token, you got to add a parlay wager to your slip and activate the token. It's really that easy. And if you win, your wager that was made when you activated the token is going to unlock and help you receive some extra winnings. Download the BetMGM app today, and remember to please gamble responsibly. I have a couple of thoughts that I want to leave with you guys before I sign off for the day. Number one, can Aaron Donald just go ahead and announce that he's coming back? Like, this is silly. We all know that he's going to play for the Rams. It's like the worst kept secret in the National Football League. Can they just announce that Aaron Donald is coming back and making the decision to miss training camp? Like, that's clearly what's happening here. But they keep laughing and joking, and he's working out, and they've never bro, we're not stupid. This is no surprise. We're all just waiting for the tweet that comes down from Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter that it's now official. This is the worst kept secret in the National Football League. Aaron Donald is playing. So if you plan on making a bet on the Rams to win the Super Bowl, you should just do it right now. Because in 3 days, the number's going to go down because Donald's officially on the team, but we all know it's going to happen. So just hurry up already. Enough's enough every day. It's like, is he coming back? Well, we know he's coming back. Just stop it. Just say tomorrow that he's going to come here in 3 weeks and he's going to be ready for the game. I don't even know if he plays in the game in Australia. Hey, week 2, Aaron Donald's coming back. All right, cool, great. Hey, I'm excited to see him. You look at that roster, I mean, that's a loaded squad, bro. That's unfair that they broke the salary cap. They're not playing. There's no way the Rams and the Jets are in the same league. There's no way. There's no way that the Rams and the Arizona Cardinals are in the same league. How is your roster like that and the other? You guys had the same chances that they had. You could have got Puka Nacua. You could have drafted Kyron Williams. You had all these same opportunities, and just look at what you've done with it. They showed a video of practice I saw a couple of days ago with the Arizona Cardinals. If you lose to the Arizona Cardinals, your coach should automatically be fired. Like, he shouldn't even be allowed to go to the locker room after the game. If your team loses to Arizona, your team's owner should come right, and he should just take the whistle from his hand right there. Take the iPad, take the headset, and you should just have to leave with the regular paying customers. You got to leave with the patrons. That is a god-awful football team. That is a team designed to get the number 1 overall pick. We don't talk about tanking in the same way that we do in baseball or basketball, but I'm telling you, the Arizona Cardinals, if you saw the same footage that I saw, you would have saw the same thing. That is a tanking football team that is trying hard to get the number 1 overall pick. All right, a couple of things that I want to leave you with before we sign off today. The first thing is, sometimes I wonder if I live in a different universe than other people. Like, I try to stay up on things, I try to, read. I try to stay up on the internet. I'm on social media. I try to stay active. I try to stay current. But sometimes things, they go above my head. Like, I recently watched Game of Thrones. I'd heard about the Red Wedding, but I had no clue what was going to happen. Blew my mind. So I was like, how did you not know? Because I wasn't paying attention for that information. So I don't know. I didn't know. But it would seem to me that if you're going to be the athletic director at a Power 4 university, there's some things you should know. There's some things that you should be up to date on. Like, who won the national championship last year? The audio I'm going to play for you, this is Purdue's new athletic director. Purdue in the state of Indiana. I want to play for you what he had to say. Hit it for me, Laura.
Every recruit, every current student athlete will hear this message repeatedly. We are here to win championships. If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana.
Hold on. You guys got to help me with this. I'm serious. You got to help me with this. Did the athletic director at Purdue just say, if you want to win a championship, then you should go to Indiana? He couldn't have said that. Was he sick last year? Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. Was he in a coma last year? I'm not trying. Was he in a coma? Was he sick? Was he not watching college football? Because, like, that would make sense to me. If you were telling me, hey, he's been sick these last couple of years and he just recently came out of it and he doesn't know, okay, that would make sense to me. I'm like, oh, okay, you weren't watching college football last year. All right, I got it. That Purdue won 2 games last year. 2. Purdue got beat 56-3 at home to Indiana. At the crib in their building. Indiana went undefeated, won the national championship, has the Heisman Trophy winner, has the number 1 overall pick. Their coach is on the cover of the college football video game. What is this man talking about? I'm starting to think, Laura, that you manipulated this audio. I'm starting to think that he said Indiana State and you cut it off. I'm thinking that he said Southern Indiana or Indiana Wesleyan, and then you cut off. That's what happened. That's the mainstream media, always twisting the words of these people. Because he could not. There's no chance he was talking about the Indiana Hoosiers. I don't understand. The ass whooping that they are about to receive is going to be biblical. That's what it is. It's going to feel like a plague. That's what it's going to feel like. It's going to be the wrath of Job is what it's going to feel like. I can't imagine. I'm serious. What Kirk Signetti is going to do to those boys. If you want to win championships, go to Indiana. Oh, that's what they're doing. And they're not going to Purdue. Purdue that won 2 games last year and 1 game the year before. They're 3-21 in their last 24 games. I would focus on myself for right now while we try to get things right, you know? Let's not forget before that, they went 4-8. They went 4-8 before then. Just, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. I'm just as confused. I'm just as puzzled. I'm just as puzzled as you guys are. I'm very puzzled. You know what I really want to end with today? We only got like 2 minutes left. I never thought I would say this. I'm 37 years old. I'll be 38 years old coming up in 2 weeks. My birthday is August 20th. I don't think that I've ever been able to say these words to anybody. I kind of miss soccer. I kind of miss it. Now, I don't miss it enough like I'm going to start watching the MLS or I'm going to start watching La Liga or I'm going to start watching the EPL, but you can admit it was a little bit more fun when we had soccer in our lives. It was very enjoyable. It gave you a reason to go hang out on a Tuesday. Everybody was so happy. Everybody was so festive. They were dancing. There was songs everywhere. It was great. I kind of miss the World Cup. I really do. You know, I really miss it. I kind of want it to come back. Can they hurry up and come back? We still got a little bit until football gets going. We still got a couple of weeks. I'll take like a nice little mini World Cup if they want to do one. Like we can start on Monday. We can have this thing wrapped up by the beginning of September. You know, a loser's bracket. We could have a loser's bracket of the World Cup, but I kind of missed it. It was fun. It was very, very enjoyable. I enjoyed the soccer. I enjoyed the foosball things. I kind of wanted to come back. I really do. My name is Carrington Harrison. I had a lot of fun with you guys today. Thanks for everybody behind the scenes and all of their help. Happy to be filling in anytime for my guy, Nick Kostos. Football is here. We have our first football game of the season done, the Hall of Fame game. We got to sprinkle more of preseason action. We got Hard Knocks right now going on in HBO. I miss Last Chance U. The summer was always better when we had a new season of Last Chance U. My name is Carrington Harrison. Happy to be here filling in for my guy, Nick Kostos on You Better You Bet.